Hi, welcome to Lewis Spotlight. I'm Krystian Nowak. I'm a junior here at Lewis University, a part of the men's soccer team, and my major is sports management and marketing. I think it's kind of an interesting journey because throughout all my high school years, I took CAD classes, so computer-aided design for architecture, thinking I'd go into sustainable engineering, where you pretty much design net zero homes that produce like zero carbon, so your carbon footprint's pretty much smaller. My dream school is IIT on the south side of Chicago. And I also wanted to play soccer. However, like the tuition there was kind of high, but that didn't really matter if I wanted to follow my dream. However, the soccer program wasn't all what I wanted it to be also. And it was close to home, so it was always good. But I also kept my mind open when it came to other schools, so I kept looking around. But then I decided actually to check out someplace closer, so I went to St. Xavier. All in all, long story short, I committed there, but also kept an open mind. So I kept looking around for schools, and then I remembered my sophomore year in high school, we would practice actually here at Lewis, like right by the Borromeo on the grass pitch. There used to be goals there, and then I remembered, the campus looked actually really nice. So I came here with my mom. We had a tour and everything. Did my research and I fell in love with it. So even though I was committed at St. Xavier, I decided to commit here, and I came here. Definitely the best decision I've made so far. So, my biggest life lesson I learned at Lewis is understanding true autonomy. We have all the freedom in the world now, or so it seems. However, we have way more responsibilities than we had in high school, for example. Coming out of high school, everybody thought, well, this is the beginning of real life, or whatever you want to call it. But really, it's preparation for the actual real life that's going to come after you finish school. So I think that's what I learned the most. I finally have an understanding of what true autonomy is. The biggest lesson I learned on the Lewis men's soccer team is that you have to be passionate about what you do. If you aren't passionate, then what's the point of doing it? I mean, I've been part of the program for already 3 years, and I remind myself every time that, you're part of something bigger. You're giving back to essentially what is your second family on and off the field. Definitely don't take everything so seriously, because if you do, then obviously some things will come as a upset for you. So some other things I learned playing soccer in general is being responsible, not for only yourself, but for everybody else. Planning ahead is definitely huge, no matter what, be it soccer, be it, real life situations, always keep your head up and move forward. It's not the end of the world. The greatest life lesson I've ever learned in any aspect in life is that you have to appreciate the small things in life. For example, I love sunsets and sunrises. After a long day of being at school, through soccer, you're physically and mentally exhausted. I like to go to a forest preserve near here, only when weather permits, obviously, and sit back and watch the sunset for a few minutes, because it definitely eases the mind. Or during 6 a.m., as much as I hate waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning and driving here to Lewis, since I'm a commuter, sunrises, watching sunrises with my teammates is probably another thing that I really enjoy doing. You gotta look on the bright side of everything. Making people smile is definitely another thing that you have to appreciate in life, because yeah, you may talk to people, but it's the impression that you leave with them. It makes me happy to see other people smile, and I think smiling is contagious. You smile, usually other people will smile unless they're having a bad day, but then picking that person's mood up for the day, that definitely, it's something that I enjoy doing. Some things that I like to do besides soccer is, well, more recently is drawing faces. I don't know, it definitely, with finals coming up and all these due dates, I kind of relax when I start drawing faces. I don't know why, it's always been something. Like, you want to perfect shadowing, for example. Another thing, watching movies. I love movie references, books, love writing or reading books, and even writing poetry sometimes. I try that, not the best at that, but being outdoors. Like I mentioned earlier, sunsets and sunrises are two of my favorite things to do or watch. Riding my bike, be it traveling, it could be driving, it could be going to Europe, for example, once every summer, or in the winter like I will this upcoming winter. Was diagnosed with leukemia. It was in the early stages, which was a good thing, but it started off when she was just sick she was just, home-ridden for 2 weeks, and we weren't exactly sure what was going on. But then when we took her to the doctors, they said, we should probably take her to the hospital, so we did. We found out she had leukemia, which wasn't good news, obviously. We knew that this upcoming year and then so on, it'll be a roller coaster ride, definitely. Kept our heads high, and I knew that I had to be there for my younger siblings more than ever, because this is probably going to be the toughest time, I don't know, probably in their lives. So I had to be there for them. Every time I'd go to the hospital and visit her, I didn't show any. I wasn't sad. I couldn't be sad, because if she saw that I was sad and then the kids were sad already, so me adding to that sadness wouldn't really help. So you had to stay optimistic. That's probably the biggest lesson I learned with my mom's sickness, is that you have to be optimistic no matter what. At that point, me and my dad became really close, I think, because both me and him understood each other, what we were all going through. I'm the oldest of 4, obviously, so I had to be there for them, like I said. And not only that, since we wanted our mom to go through with this and come out stronger than she was before, which she luckily is now, and thankfully, we had to be optimistic. Nothing but smiles, hugging her, be there for her every day or whenever I could. Yeah, it was definitely a milestone in my life and my family's. But one thing I did find out is that no matter how much you could hate your siblings, sometimes you could yell at them, argue with them, or even with your family, with your parents. When in times of trouble like that, we always come together and we come out stronger. At some point in your life, you're going to be rejected. Be it a girl, be it, I don't know, trying to get accepted into school. It varies. Very different ends of the spectrum here. But the thing is, you either get rejected, you could get accepted, but you can't always get what you want. So you keep your head up high and you keep moving. You pick yourself up, you regroup, and you learn from your mistakes. That's another thing that I learned, is that no matter what the problem may be, you can't look back on your problems, you learn from them, and you take those blessings and you apply into the next step or whatever goal it is that you want to accomplish. A hobby that I definitely enjoy doing is on Monday nights we have dance practice, and it's this Polish folk culture that I've been pretty much born into. My parents are huge supporters of, obviously, their culture, and they want that to keep going through us and then hopefully through our children. It's been around for centuries in my family, obviously. My folks actually come from the southern part of Poland, where our culture is very colorful, very lively. Definitely one of my more favorite hobbies. You get to dance and sing with people. Just say who shaped me, single-handedly into who I am today. But definitely, obviously from the start, it's your parents that I think that shape you the most. Like, both my parents come from, they had a hard history being in socialist Poland. They had curfews, it was dangerous times. That's why they moved here. And they moved here because they wanted a better life for their children, which is probably the biggest thing I learned from them, is that when I have children, I'll do the best I can for my kids so that they could have an easy and a good life. When it comes down to my Polish heritage, that's thanks to my parents. When it comes down to me being able to dance and sing and even speak the certain slang that we speak in the Polish highlands, where the mountains are. My dad's from a small town called Kościelisko, and my mom is from an even smaller town called Gronków. My dad never really sang. He sings. He says he could sing, but he can't dance. But my mom, however, she could sing and dance. She's amazing. And my uncles could play the violin, for example, which is a huge instrument where I'm from, or my parents are from, actually. But I'm saying as if I'm living there, because I feel like I am there. Every day we appreciate the culture that my parents kind of brought us up in. Another thing that my parents did me a solid of is they sent me to Polish school. was a 1 day-a-week thing for 4 hours where you go to the same class, a lot much, I guess, you don't want to be there. I definitely hated it at the time because, you know, I could be watching my Saturday morning cartoons, but instead I'd have to, you know, cut that short and go to polo school. Now that I've been done with polo school for about 3 years now, I can say it was probably one of the best experiences of my life. If I was to meet my freshman year self, I'd say you're doing a good job, honestly. I wasn't really, like when you meet some freshmen, you see they feel entitled to certain things. Yeah, that could be like in high school, for example, and then it also translates kind of into college. The people that, like I didn't feel entitled to anything. I sort of, you know, got a taste of college. I wasn't able to, I thought I could balance a lot of things at once. For example, I went to school, I played soccer here, I also had a job, and I also was the oldest sibling of 4. So I tried juggling a lot of different things, but I also found out that, well, through doing all that, I learned that you have to prioritize certain things. So I ended up, you know, quitting my job, which was totally fine. I mean, they understood that. But I tell myself, my freshman self, that you're doing a good job. Just one thing is to be more confident when, for example, speaking in front of a camera, or definitely prioritizing more. That would probably be the biggest thing, is getting an assignment notebook, which helped me my sophomore year, and writing things down. It honestly brought my grades up. I wasn't as stressed out because I didn't have to have everything on my mind. Everything was on paper for me. And yeah, all I had to do was look back, you know. So now I look back at it, and that's probably the biggest thing that I would have to tell myself. Where do I see myself in 10 or 5 or 10 years? I'd say working for my dream job or dream career. Obviously, that would be playing professionally somewhere in Europe, but you know, the odds are slim, but you know, you always have to take your chances if it comes. But if that doesn't cut out to what I hope it would be, working for a big marketing, like I would like to be the director of a marketing group. For example, working for Red Bull would be huge. A sports company like Nike or Adidas or IMG, which work globally, they market, you know, from models to sports teams, and they host events and they plan out the events like that. That's something I would definitely like to see myself doing in 10 years and making a decent, you know, six-figure income. A few things I thought about after, you know, graduating high school is, you know, 10 years from now we're going to have a high school reunion. So looking into the future, I want to be able to tell people, like, you know, what I do for a living, and I want it to be my success story. I want to be successful in 10 years. I want to be able to tell my friends back in high school that, you know, I made it, I guess. I made it, and then that everybody could say that, you know, I didn't go to necessarily what people call the best high school. So me being able to go to college out of there was kind of huge, and being the first person in my family to go to college was even bigger. So being able to say that I made it, and in my mind, fulfilling what my initial definition of success is, would be huge. And that's probably the biggest thing that I'd like to see myself in 10 years, is saying that I am successful. Thank you for joining me on the Lewis Spotlight. I hope you learned a lot from my life lessons.